Page 22, Mazurka in A minor, Opus 67, number 4. I'd like to point out a few things and make some suggestions here. So we'll start with the right hand. Watch this rhythm rather carefully. In the tied notes, it starts with a pickup note. In 3/4 time, it's a Mazurka, of course it's in 3/4 time. So it starts on 3. 3, 1 and 2 and 3. Now, their phrasing, the way they've got, I don't always agree with their phrasing. We'll just go with what they've got. It's here. 1 and 2. You lift up between each phrase. Second line, keep going. Watch the fingering in the second measure, second line. It's 4, 2, 1. 4 again. Reach down with the third finger. And then reach down with the second finger. We're just crawling around like a spider on this. That's fine. Chopin does that. You lift up and go here in an octave. At the bottom there, it's a 5-2, fifth finger, and then put the second finger. That way you're in position. Otherwise, you end up having to lift up because it's a phrase, but you're using a little finger again. I encourage you to do the finger substitutions. Finger substitutions are really important in Chopin music. Well, a lot of music, but especially Chopin. So try and get comfortable with these where you can do it easily and quickly without even looking at the keyboard. Last 3 notes on page 22, lift up and go up. Fourth finger there at the top of page 23. The fingering's fine. Go on. Triplets, third line down on page 23, triplets. 1 and a 2, 3. Now, last line on page 23, second measure. I like this fingering. It's starting with the first measure, you're up here. And then it's 3, 4, 3, 4. Then you get the same fingering at the top of page 24. Now watch the fifth finger on that. Last measure of the first line on page 24. You're here. They're saying 1, 4. You don't need to, you can stay where you're at. And fifth finger, and then come up. It's a phrase, you're gonna... The C is held over, and now watch this carefully. This is the last measure of the second line on page 24. Here, here. That G sharp is played twice. E's played twice. Watch the fingering. Work that out until it's all smooth and even. You don't have to go fast right now. It will go fast eventually, but right now it's just smooth and even. And that was my attempt at smooth and even. Last line, page 24, we changed key signatures. Now we're in the key of A major. We were in A minor, now we're in A major. Imagine that. Watch all these sharps now. Now you get to the top of page 25. I recommend for that half note, rather than a 2, go ahead and put a 3 on that. Because the E, the last note on page 24, you play with fifth finger. And so the half note, I find it easier to use third finger on the half note. And fourth finger on the F sharp. And next measure, third finger on the E. And then you can use thumb and their fingering. To me, that's an easier fingering than what they're offering. So I recommend that. Now, the fingering they're suggesting for the first measure of the second line there on page 25 is going to be a 2-1. It shouldn't be too much of a problem even if you have fat fingers, because most of the notes being played are black keys. And then you can come down out for that E if you need it. However, there's another fingering you might try, and that goes back to the measure before it. This was the last measure on the first line. You're here. Rather than using 3, try 4. Just crunch up a little bit. And that way, on the first measure of the second line, you can do that with 3, 2, 5. And then thumb on the D again. Don't forget the G sharps. Down at the bottom, second measure, there's 3, 4, and then reach down for the G sharp. Yuck. I suggest you try that for the triplets rather than 3, 4, because you played the note right before them, that C sharp, with 5th finger. So why not use 2nd finger on the first note of the triplet, and then 4, 3. This is very common fingering for this kind of a thing. So starting at the beginning of the line, it's here. And then you can reach down. And then you go back to the DS, which is back on the other page. Now for the left hand, keep it down, because everything we want to hear is in the right hand. So in the left hand at the beginning, just simple chords. Watch the fingering, it's fine there. Third line down, 3, rest, rest. And then you come back up to what you were doing before. Now, over on page 23, let's jump down to the second line. We'll start there. We're here. 3. Rest. Now it's a 4. Rest. And for the third line, I recommend a 4-1 on the F natural D. And then a 5. You don't have to use 5th finger both. I don't recommend it. That's, yeah. Last line down there, it's a D, F, and then I don't like that fingering. I would finger that with the 4th finger on the last measure on page 23. I would do 4, 2, 1, because the chord is that's the fingering, and that's what I would use, but their fingering works. Top of page 24, we're here. For the last measure, the first line, I recommend, they're saying 3, 1, 4. I recommend for the A, D, a 2, 1, and then a 3, 1, because to me, that's more comfortable than this. So I jump down to the bottom. Last line, we're in A major now. Same basic chords, but we're in A major. That's really about all it is for the left hand, is broken chords. Put the hands together very slowly, because the fingers are doing weird things. So go real slow. At the beginning, tie it. Third line down, last measure. Watch the rests. at page 24. We're still going on. We change keys. There, top line, last measure. Watch out. Left hand is a C natural, D sharp. Isn't that wonderful? Now, third line down, look out in the left hand. You need on that chord, this is the third line down, second measure in the left hand, 2 on that, so you can come down with the third finger and reach down with the other one because you're changing position here. There, so both hands. Work it out really slowly at first. I mean, it's a bit monotonous because things are going on and the harmonies, but just take it slow and easy and stop on those measures that you're struggling with and go over that measure again and again until you can get it smoothed out a bit before going on. Don't think, I'll fix it later. It doesn't work. Stop and fix it right then before you go on. Then we get all that, and I haven't talked about dynamics or anything, but hopefully you can read the dynamics and figure out they apply to the right hand. So whatever that medium loud at the beginning is for the right hand. The left hand, just keep the left hand soft. And over on page 23, second line, it gets loud. That's the right hand. The left hand can get a little louder, but keep it softer than the right hand. And at the bottom of the page, then you start getting softer, the diminuendo. Back down to medium loud, but you have a couple measures to do that, so don't be in a hurry to get softer. However, let's talk pedal. They've got you overlapping pedal here, and I got problems with that, so let's talk about it. At the beginning, what I'm going to do on that first measure that you pedal, I'm only going to pedal the first 2 beats. I'm not pedaling the third. So here, I lift it up right there. Now, if I pedal this the way they're saying to, this is what it sounds like. I think that's a bit blurry. So, in the first line, I'm going to recommend on the first measure you pedal, you only pedal the first 2 beats. Let it up on the third beat. Right there. I don't pedal the next measure at all. If you're going to, just pedal the first 2 beats. So the first line, and second line, same thing. Just the first 2 beats in those all the way across each measure. And then you don't pedal this part at all. And third line, I don't pedal the second measure at all. And I'll pedal the last measure, first 2 beats. So there's silence before we go on. And I'm pretty much doing the same kind of pedaling throughout where I'm pedaling. Just the first 2 beats of the measure, and that's it. So let's go up to start with the bottom line on page 22. You're here. And then in the second line, second measure on page 23, lift up so we get silence before you go on. The third line down, you can do their pedaling, except the second measure, I don't pedal the third beat. Each of these, I'm only pedaling the first two beats of the measure. On page 24, it's just the same kind of pedaling. I'm only pedaling the first two beats of the measure. And then the third measure, pedal it like they're saying to. At the bottom, again, I'm only doing the first two beats. It just releases a lot of the blurriness, and it helps to reinforce the first beat of the measure, the natural accent. Now just walk it out slowly, and again, it's just the first two beats here. It's second line. Again, we're not pedaling the triplet part. The last measure at page 25. And again, I want silence between the last two notes here, because it's a new phrase, because you're going back to the beginning part, to that other melody, and it's the thingy. So watch out on this stuff. Now that the tempo here is rather quick. That has to be your quick, not my quick. How quick do you think? Because I'm sure a lot of people could play this quite fast. But a moderate animated speed, and I don't know what that is. You decide. To me, what I just did is close enough. But maybe after a few beers or wine, you know, my... You get the idea?